So what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Christopher. I hope you enjoy the content. The only thing that I ask and appreciate is that you like the videos. So I got two news articles today that I want to check out. One is about what's to come with the German winter coming up today, and we're going to get into that right now. Germany braces for extreme winter weather. Now, I haven't seen much of that outside from where I live, but apparently we're in for a big winter, and this might not be the year that you want to visit during the winter time. So let's see what they say. This article is from the DW again, and Germany braces for extreme winter weather. Here we go. The German Weather Service forecasts heavy snow and icy temperatures this weekend. Officials said non-essential journeys should be avoided as a number of train services were axed. Now, I did hear about some trains being canceled, but I do say again that it didn't happen in my region. So I haven't seen this strong winter weather as of yet. I won't say that it's not coming, but I haven't seen it. German forecasters on Saturday said that the country should brace itself for snowstorms and plummeting temperatures. The Weather Service issued an extreme weather warning saying emergency crews had been put on standby. So in case that didn't make sense to you, in the event you have an emergency here during these hard storms and hard hit weather periods, the emergency services will have issues getting to you if they can even risk getting out there at all. So it's a really bad time to be out on the streets and out in the weather if you don't need to be out there. They expected between 15 and 40 centimeters of snow, with drifts rising to a meter on Sunday evening. My goodness. Some rail services in central and northern Germany have been axed. Arctic weather patterns in the north led the DWD to issue its highest warnings to parts of the North Rhine-Westphalia, Lower Saxony, and Saxony-Anhalt areas. In the capital, Berlin, authorities opened more emergency homeless shelters ahead of the expected cold snap. I don't hear about homelessness here much, but I'm assuming that it's big in a city like Berlin, a bigger city where it's, more people and harder to get jobs. Black ice was forecast for North Rhine-Westphalia, Hesse, Rhineland-Palatinate, which is my area, and then Thuringia and Saxony. So that's really bad weather in many of the states here in Germany. Officials said southern Germany would see milder weather owing to low pressure over Western Europe. So it won't be so bad in all parts of the country, but looks like a pretty decent amount of the country is getting hit by hard weather. So if you do plan to visit Germany during these distancing and lockdown times, always be aware of the weather, because you do not want to be stuck somewhere once you get here, and you don't want to be stuck here if you're required to be elsewhere. Warnings of severe storms and gusting winds near the Alps. German federal police said people had largely complied with the warnings for Saturday, avoiding popular tourist destinations. So that's good. And I like putting out videos about the weather here in Germany because it does help people that need to be traveling and commuting while they're here. And a lot of people don't watch the news or anything like that. I really don't watch the news, but this article came across my homepage on Google and I decided to talk about it. So here in Germany, you always have to be prepared for drastic weather because the weather here has a mind of its own. Germans will tell you that. Let's move on to the next story, which doesn't directly relate to that, but it's important nonetheless for people who are traveling, not considering the weather. And it's about Germany and the testing for the vid. That's what we'll call it. Germany won't allow some non-residents to enter the country, even with negative tests. Germany on Friday announced its plans to restrict incoming travel from a handful of countries, including Britain and Ireland, in an attempt to curb the spread of that and going beyond the measures recommended by the European Union. Quote, "It's about stopping the entry of a highly infectious virus." Horst Seehofer, Germany's interior minister, said on Thursday, a day before the federal cabinet approved its restrictions. Under the new travel ban, which also applies to passengers coming from Portugal, Brazil, South Africa, Lesotho, and Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, German residents will be able to return home, but non-German residents from the areas in question will be refused entry, even with a negative test. I'm seeing a lot of countries adjust the restrictions and stuff like that, but Germany seems to be bouncing back and forth on what they want to do because they really want to get their numbers back down. I'd said in a previous video that somewhere along the line, Germany kind of slipped and dropped the ball on keeping control of this thing, and they kind of lost it for a second. So I don't blame anybody for doing what they have to do to thwart this and keep it at bay. While multiple known infectious variants have been found in Germany, including B.1.1.7 at a hospital in Berlin, which then had to go into lockdown, health authorities believe they can still prevent variants from spreading and driving new infections. The changes will go into effect over the weekend and will be in place until at least February 17th. It follows a temporary halt in travel for all passengers coming from the UK and South Africa, which was lifted a few days after it was enacted. All non-essential travel remains discouraged. So, depending on where you're coming from, you need to know what's happening so that you don't get turned around or rejected. And these travel bans seem to be just a little bit different from the travel bans that they put in place last year. They still seem to be a little bit more open than they were then, because I'm still seeing people come in and out. It was way more strict last year, in my opinion, unless I'm missing something. I could be wrong by that. Let's see, after more than 6 weeks of strict lockdown, during which restaurants, bars, non-essential shops, and most schools have been shuttered, Germany is starting to show slight improvement in its daily case numbers. On Thursday, health authorities reported 14,000 infections in a 24-hour period, nearly 4,000 less than the amount registered a week earlier. So if Germany is on your list of places to travel to, be aware that depending on if you're coming from the UK or South Africa or Portugal, Brazil, or any of those other places that were named, Swaziland, you might have to rethink your plans, because Germany really doesn't play when it comes to this. And I don't blame them. They're taking it seriously. You should take it seriously.